That's right, bring it on. Coming to you live from Money Making Manhattan in New York City. You're watching Astrology Numerology now in its 9th season, televised live from New York City. I'm your host, you already know. This is Z Starman, professional astrologer numerologist, with a special edition of Astrology Numerology Now. As promised, 2 weeks ago, I said we're going to have this great panel, and we're here tonight on the first day of spring 2017. First of all, I'd like to welcome my studio audience. Let them know you are in New York City and in the house. We are live from New York City. And tonight is the first day of spring. Spring is sprung, or the beginning of the spring equinox. And it's also Women's History Month. And what a better way to start off the spring equinox by having some of my friends, my women friends, from the world of astrology, numerology, psychic, seers, new age women. First of all, I want to introduce the panel real quick. Down on the right, we have my good buddy, Douchey Amore. Wave at him, Douchey. That's Douchey. You can give it up for Douchey Amore. Up next, sitting next to Douchey, we have an aspiring millennial astrologer who's making her mark in the world of astrology and media. I'd like to welcome to the show, Mecca Woods. Sitting next to Mecca, we have what I like to call one of the grassroots people of astrology and numerology. This sister is out on the forefront when it comes to presenting astrology and numerology news and information. And she's representing one of my favorite people, Sam Reynolds from the Zodiac Lounge. Ladies and gentlemen, Akila Norris. And last but not least, we have a veteran, and I'm going to call her that. She's a veteran astrologer, numerologist. I used to listen to her on various media outlets like WLIB, KISS FM. She's one of the pioneers as far as it comes to media in astrology. I would like to welcome the queen of astrology, Kiala Washington. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're gonna, Now we're gonna get right to it. Now, and you can call the show also at 212-757-1393. 217-757-1393 is the number to call. So we're gonna get right to it now, panel. I want to talk about the significance of spring 2017. What do we have on the horizon? As you all know, this is the start of the astrological new year. And what can we expect? So I'm going to start with Kiala.
It's Kalia.
Kalia, I've known her 20 years.
Well, you know that happens. I don't take it personally. The love is real, and I
love
appreciate
is always
that.
There.
But in terms of what this equinox represents that might make it a little different than some of the others is that as you said, it's our new year. So it represents new starts, new beginnings. It's a cycle where disregarding what you plan to implement at the beginning of the year, this is the cycle where things will either take off or they will peter out, and you will realize that they petered out because it wasn't going to serve you. So don't be stuck on anything that you were just, it had to be that way. Be open to the possibility that things can continue to unfold, but it might not be in the way that you want. Now, while we're having the equinox, it's occurring during a Venus retrograde. And
right,
Venus
we're going to talk about that on the show. That's on the agenda also.
Yeah, so I won't get into it, but it represents new starts, new beginnings, and because it's in a fire sign, it means that you should embrace things with the kind of vim and vigor and enthusiasm that a real Aries
And there's
would.
a lot of stuff happening in the sign of Aries. Starting next week, we're going to have 5 heavenly bodies in the sign of Aries. I think we got about 4 right now. We're going to talk about the significance of that. Akila Norris.
Yes.
Welcome to Astrology Numerology Now.
Thank you.
Now, what is your take on the spring equinox? What are some of the things that we all should look out for on the horizon?
Well, I think it's a wonderful time of the year because we have equal day and equal night. And it's about bringing in the balance. It's about starting, but bringing in the balance. And like my sister said, Venus is in retrograde, so you want to kind of soften into the new beginnings, and you want to wait until that retrograde is over and really, really start things after it's finished. And so I just see that we are coming into dealing with relationships of all kinds, whether they be individual relationships, but really global relationships, and recognizing even with the turmoil that it's bringing us closer to the fact that we are really just one in the I am of being an Aries.
Now, should we put off, I like to say all the time that we should treat the spring equinox sort of kind of like we treat the calendar year.
Yes.
You know, growing up, you had to do all your house cleaning before December 1st. My parents are from Savannah, Georgia, so all those rituals that had to happen. Should we do those same rituals? Mecca Woods,
Yes.
welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Should we do those same rituals? What kind of resolutions? I always say resolutions on January 1st are null and void because it's too cold in the northern hemisphere.
Right.
What about doing resolutions and getting ready for spring? What kind of energy can we bring to ourselves at the start of the spring equinox?
Well, I think this is a great time to do resolutions because when you're talking about the spring equinox, Aries, it's a very fiery, passionate energy. And so when I think about fire, I think about this, purification, fire cleanses. And so this idea with, bringing in this new energy, fresh start, fresh beginnings. For me in particular, I think what I would name this particular spring would be like passion and perseverance, because this morning, I was looking at the chart for the spring and looking at, that Aries ingress, and 6 planets were in fire signs, and to have all of that fiery energy, ushering in this new beginnings, it's like, fire signs, I would say like one of the biggest gifts that fire signs bring to the table is passion. Either your heart is 100% into it or you don't touch it, you leave it alone. And I think going forward, especially too, like with Venus being retrograde, finding things that you're into, finding pleasure, it's all about being very focused and very clear-headed about what you want as opposed to just going through the motions or doing things ad hoc. So for me, I think the rituals definitely is a good time to think about clearly like what you want and being more focused and more intentional about those things and then making space for it.
Now, before we go on to my girl Dushi, should we hold off on our resolutions? Should we pull back since we know that Venus is retrograde and all these other retrogrades are going on? We got Jupiter is retrograde right now. We have Saturn that's retrograde. So should we say, wait a minute, I'll do this first and then wait until after Venus goes direct?
Yeah, I think so. One of the reasons why I
on
say
April
that
15th, matter of fact.
is because, again, looking at the chart this morning, I noticed that the moon was in Sagittarius, and the moon was directly connected to Saturn. And Saturn in astrology is all about responsibility, hard work, restriction, taking your time before looking before you leap. Whereas Sag is very like, I'm just, going to throw caution to the wind. And then, as we moved on, throughout the day, the moon is currently in Capricorn. So I definitely think that this is a time for like clearing off, handling what you already have on your plate. And again, being very strategic and very intentional about how you move forward.
Okay, fantastic answer. Dushi Amor, psychic medium. What does your spirit tell you about 2017, especially at the start of the spring equinox?
What our sister Keela said, balance, most definitely. This is a time where our personal selves have to get totally into ourself. And when we do this, what is going to happen is you're going to feel that energy, that aura that is around you is going to manifest out, but we have to take it in first. We have to take that balance inside of us first. And also what I was feeling today, I felt a lot in my stomach, my solar plex. So I know that folks that have stopped to say, should I do this, should I not do this? With Venus being retrograde, I hear that. But I also hear, yeah, take it slow, but then go for it.
Okay.
Go for it.
Now, go ahead. Kate.
You know, sometimes when we talk about these retrograde planets, like Venus, for instance, and Venus, for the layperson, governs attraction, beauty, aesthetic sense, your taste, how you would decorate your home. This does not mean that you can't have a relationship now. You might run into glitches.
But a lot of astrologers ward against starting relationships, going back to old relationships during this period.
Well, like, let's look at it this way. Everything has a cycle. So when Venus goes retrograde, this might actually be a good time to enter a relationship that's of short duration.
And let me remind everybody that Venus retrogrades once every 18 or 20 months. It's not like we have a Mercury retrograde every 3 or 4 months. But when Venus is retrograde, it's a significant event.
Significant.
Go ahead, sister.
So someone might come into your life where you think, well, I heard something about Venus being retrograde, so I don't want to do this right now. But the relationship takes on an identity of its own, and then 6 months or 9 months later, it doesn't work out, and it's like, I knew I shouldn't have gotten into it. That's how long that relationship was supposed to last.
Exactly.
Very often, an old love or somebody you were attracted to, I just chuckle when that happens, because that means that we're here to finish out the sentence. We're not going to be able to make it last or be something different. Sometimes getting back with that person will show you why it didn't work out in the first place. In terms of aesthetics, now, I'm a designer as well. I love to create things. This is not a cycle necessarily for me to design or try to launch a big project, but I can finish what I started. But this is an excellent cycle to recycle, to look at what I have and see how it could be reconfigured or reimagined.
Now hold that thought. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you want to talk to this beautiful panel, give me a call right now. We're live from New York City. 212-757-1393 is the number to call. Again, 212-757-1393 is the number to call. Control room, do we have a caller? Caller, you're on the air with Z Starman and Astrology Numerology Now. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, what's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Amethyst calling from California.
From California. See, we have people who watch this show from all over the country. Amethyst, welcome to Astrology Numerology Now. How can we help you? Well, first of all, say hello to my panel.
Hello. Hello, beautiful ladies.
Hello. Hello.
Go ahead, Amethyst. How can we help you tonight?
Okay, well, I wanted to ask one question as well as make a comment.
Okay, go right ahead.
First question is, what advice would you give to aspiring astrologers like myself? Because I'm very invested in the science, very, very much so interested. So what would be some general advice for aspiring astrologers and how they want to get started?
Akila, answer her.
I would say read a lot of books and take a class. If you have a mentor, someone that you know that is really good and thriving in the community or in your area, ask them to mentor you and teach you what they know and learn, and that's a good place.
Dushi, what do you have to say?
Study.
Study?
Absolutely. See, I'm a Gemini rising, so I have to study. But yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now,
and the comment was,
hold on one second. Kalia wants to add to that.
Now, she's interested in studying astrology, did she say?
Right.
The thing is, you have to be drawn to it. You know, metaphysics is very fascinating, so sometimes you want to know, well, how did they know that? How did they do that? But it's
like it calls you.
Right, but it has to call you. Like in my case, even as a child, I had a natural inclination for it. It wasn't even something that I wanted to do because in my mind, I thought I needed to be something quote unquote more respectable, but it never left me, and it was a natural inclination. So as I grew older, I would hear about workshops. I would hear about groups. Books would fall into my hand. Now you should seek it out, but don't force it.
Now, Amethyst, share with our panel your birthday.
March the 7th, so I just had a solar return. Well, hell, I just had a bunch of returns, but I just had a solar return, March the 7th. Do you need to know the year as well and the birth time?
Mecca, what do you feel for her? March 7th. Caller, do you know your moon and rising sign?
Yes, sun opposite moon, Pisces opposite Virgo.
Okay, and you have Gemini rising.
That's right.
Go ahead, Mecca.
So I would say for a Pisces, especially with all that Mercury energy, this is going to be a good time for you to really think about how you can channel that creative energy into a way that you can actually monetize and live off of. Because the thing with Pisces is that because they tend to be so creative, sometimes it's kind of like, I just want to give it away and kind of give it away for free. So I would say that this is a good time for you to think about, how can I stack my paper?
Oh, yeah, especially because I have progressions of Venus conjunct Sun right now, so I'm definitely thinking about that. And then I have the Grand Trine in water, so
we have somebody who's a seasoned astrologer on the show. Dushi, what do you feel about her from a spiritual point of view? You're a psychic medium. And then I'm going to ask Aquila, because she's a numerologist.
For her is study. This is your time to study. Study to show yourself approved so that you can stack your paper.
Okay. Aquila.
All right.
So she's March 7th. So in 2017, she's in a 2 personal year. What do you feel about that?
What I feel is that she needs to allow her Virgo to organize her Pisces gifts of being connected to the spiritual realm, and let the Gemini, give it the language and bring it out to form. It is her time. And I really feel like this is something that...
Thank you. Well, caller, we are live from New York City. I want to thank you for calling into the show. And we got to keep it moving. We got about 10 minutes left, and I got a lot of other stuff that I'd like to ask our panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys so much. You guys stay blessed. Thank you.
Thank you. Call from Los Angeles, California. Now, we're going to get to know our panel. This is what I call our Jeopardy moment. So I want everybody to introduce themselves. Let's start with Kalia Washington, Queen Kalia Washington. Tell us about yourself, what you're doing now. How did you start in astrology? Keep it short.
Okay. I started studying astrology as a teenager. I was basically very closeted with it. It wasn't anything where I wasn't compelled to read people. I have a Virgo rising sign, so I like knowing things. I like knowing why, and I liked understanding. But
when did you cut you off? When did you first know that, hey, I got the gift?
My friend Lloyd Strayhorn.
He's been on the show several times.
Even as a child, and when I did not understand astrology, there was something in me that always wanted to know what sign a person was.
Okay.
And to try to assess what I could figure out about them based on that sign. And so I would find subtle, subliminal ways to try to get that information out of you. And it would be 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Okay.
And I would say, wow, there's the starred man. He's a Gemini. It would just astound people that they hardly knew me, but I would always remember their sign.
Tell us what you're doing now. You're on WBAI?
Well, I had a show on BAI, and I work basically as a solar biologist, which means that I use the study of astrology and numerology to not just look at the animal kingdom, but the plant kingdom and what's going on in the universe and how it interrelates. And my primary focus is trying to use that as a tool for self-help.
Fantastic. I hate to cut you off,
It's
but
all right.
We got about 8 minutes left in the show. Aquila Norris, what's your sun, moon, and rising sign?
I'm a Cancer sun, a Taurus rising, and a Libra moon.
Okay, sweetheart. Tell us about yourself. When did you know that you had the gift of astrology?
When I worked, I was a child protective specialist, and my boss was like, you read these cases like I wouldn't believe. But I was looking at their birthdays, I was looking at the numerology of it, and I just also got intuitive impressions, and I would just know I could solve the case before I went out on the case. And I didn't investigate it to find my truth. It just would unfold because it would be in the place that you wouldn't look for it.
Tell us about your work with the Zodiac Lounge with our good friend Sam Reynolds.
Now, Sam Reynolds also has watched me grow over the years, and he invited me to be his partner in the Zodiac Lounge. So it's a monthly event that's held every second Saturday of the month at this place called Minka in Brooklyn, in Prospect, Lefferts Gardens, Brooklyn.
Okay, fantastic. And the next one is when?
The next one is April 8th. Saturday, April 8th from 5 to 9 p.m.
Mecca Woods.
Yes.
I hear a lot about you, girl.
I hope good things.
Rising star, you wrote for Essence Magazine.
Yes, yes.
And you've been on the Steve Harvey Show?
It wasn't Steve Harvey. No, it wasn't Steve Harvey.
Okay, but you're out there. I mean, to write for Essence Magazine is a
big deal. Yeah, I was really,
How did you get
really
started
happy.
in astrology?
At first,
And you're a millennial, right?
no, I'm
Really?
a Gen Xer, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like we're a
You
dying
look like a millennial.
I look like a millennial, but I'm actually one step ahead of or behind. I don't know. But I got started in astrology because I used to work in social services, and I'm a Sag Sun, Aquarius Moon, so I always had this sort of do-gooder, save the world sort of outlook, and I got pretty burnt out doing what I was doing, but I still wanted to help the world. I still wanted to do something in which I can improve the world around me. And I went for readings, and I got hooked. And the next thing you know, it just started to click, and I started to study. And I met other astrologers who were doing their thing, and I got a mentor talking about studying and mentoring. And it just took off from there. And next thing you know, I was able to, because I've always been a writer. That's what I went to school for, and I was able to incorporate my writing into my astrology.
How did you get the gig with Essence Magazine?
They actually approached me through Google, and which shows how much work that I've been doing, and also what it means to be a Black female astrologer.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been doing that, and I'm also doing horoscopes for Bustle.com too.
We got to hustle. The artist formerly known as Sweet D Love, Dushi Amore. Dushi,
Yes,
tell us, and she's a fabulous reader, numerologist. You just appeared on an episode of Black Ink television show. Tell us about that.
Yeah, episode 6. Well, how it happened was, I was on 125th Street. Long story shorter, I did a reading for the executive producer. I didn't know that he was the executive producer. And he said, would you like to, how about you get a tat, and be on the show? And I was like, oh, okay, no problem. So it took a couple of months. So, I had to use some energy over here. And I was like, come on now, Michael, I need you to call me now. I need to go. That day that I did that, they called and said, this is VH1. Is this Dushi Amore?
What is your forte as a reader? What would you say? What's your, because you got a lot of talent.
Yeah.
What is your forte?
Well, I don't think that I have a forte like that. However it comes to me, since I was 9 years old, I've been able to see those who have gone beyond.
And I must say that I've seen this sister read people and they say, stop, hold up. She have them crying, like, wait a minute, I can't take anymore.
Yeah. But that's the healing,
moving forward,
not to cut
you off, moving forward, we got a couple of minutes left in the live show. And if you want to see, the after show is going to be posted on YouTube, but I got a question, a quick question. We got about 2 minutes. How are Black women, when it comes in the industry of astrology and numerology, treated? Are you treated fairly? Are you treated as with respect and esteem as your white colleagues? 30 seconds, Kalila.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't think that there's a disparity. I think that there's a fear.
Of Black women astrologers.
Yeah, they're afraid of us. I'll give you a quick example. A friend of mine brought someone over, and she said, "Oh, Kali is a wonderful astrologer." And the young lady said, "Oh, really? What's your religion? What church do you go?" As if one was going to be against the other.
So you're saying we're not, Black women astrologers, sisters of color, they're not treated fairly. They're not treated as their recognitions. Akila, go ahead. We got about 1 minute.
I'm really not sure about that, but what I do know is the Zodiac Lounge is a platform for that, and we have a lot of female Black astrologers, and we seek that.
Tell everybody again, when's the next one? Look at the camera.
The next one is April 8th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. and we have great black female
I'm going to come
astrologers.
down and join
Okay,
you.
I'm going to be there April also. Mecca, how do you feel about that?
Actually,
You're a writer. You've been in Essence.
Yes.
Were you warmly received for your article?
oh yeah, for sure. I would say my experience has been a lot of the people that seek me out, both black women, Latino, and white women seek me out because I am a woman of color. And there's a certain perspective that I bring to the table that's not really being in the mainstream right now.
Okay. Ducey,
It's just the fullness. For me, I feel like if you have a gift and you're using your gift, that whoever comes to you, whether it's black, white, or indifferent, they will come.
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, now quickly, we got about a minute to go. Tell everybody your social media handle quickly.
At Dushi Amour, that's Amour. And Dushi is like sushi, but DUSHI
Okay, Mecca
Yes. You can find me at mylifecreated.com.
and Akila
And you can find me at soulworkbrooklyn.com.
and Kalila.
And I am at Kalia's Collections, that's spelled Khaleas, and Collections is with a K, at gmail.com.
Thank you very much. We're about out of time for tonight's show, but I just want to say some of my greatest teachers when it comes to astrology and numerology have been women. And one of them I can come to mind is my mother, who had 9 children, and she knew all of our birth times to the minute. Support women astrology. I want to say thank you, everybody. Thank you to my panel for coming to the show. And as always, this is Z Starman saying peace, love, light, and thank you, studio audience in New York. Namaste. How we doing, Sissy Gamach? That's my girl, Sissy Gamach. Veteran producer, where's Benita at? Benita on camera 2. Now, don't go now. Now, some of the studio audience members, you wanted to talk to our panel. Yes? Yes? Hold on. Do we still have speed, Deidre?
Yeah, we still have speed. Great show. Weren't they great?
Yes, they were.
You all get to come up to the mic and ask questions.
But one
Anything that
second.
you want.
Let's talk about something else between you guys. Any
Okay.
suggestions?
I'd like to talk about the times of the cycle that we're in terms of the